Bill Aucoin, the real, original rock and roll manager impresario.
Bill was a visionary.
A giant, a legend.
A rock and roll legend.
Just a larger-than-life presence.
A major influence on the music industry.
Bold and fearless.
Thought outside of the box.
But even more than that.
He was much finer a man.
And very sharp.
Handsome, dapper, charming.
A sweet, sweet soul.
Charming, bright, creative, loving.
Kind, generous.
He was a mentor and a father figure.
And the biggest heart.
And with the biggest heart.
The kindest and biggest heart of anyone you had ever met.
Bill Aucoin, God rest his soul.
You're classic for the face that you wear, the patience that you give, and the knowledge that you share. You're much less than modern, royal as a queen. You're a libertine, that's why I like you. Now let me say, you're classic. Believe me, I know you're kind, you're classic. But when you come around, take me with you. La da 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 da.
Hey everyone, it's Jeff George. I'm here today to talk about a legendary figure, the late, great Mr. Bill Aucoin. I cannot believe it's already been 10 years since Bill's passing, and there's not a day that goes by I don't think that I don't in some way reference Bill. I drive my managers crazy all the time as a touring musician and artist of always comparing them to Bill in a lot of ways. I'll be like, Bill Aucoin would do something like this, or Bill would have probably did this, so it probably drives them nuts. But, I'm very thankful for what Bill created with my favorite band, Kiss. And, as you can tell from the merchandising, to the huge stage shows, to just all the things, really thinking outside the box. And for those reasons alone, Bill is a legend. Any great live performance of Kiss you look at, you can always see, Bill standing right there, paying attention, on the side of the stage. It's really amazing. So after 10 years now already, it's unbelievable to think about, but we miss you and we love you, Bill, and we wish you were here to continue making bands better, greater, and the music industry in general cooler. So thank you so much. We love and miss you.
Give me a break. Hey everybody, this is Bryn Arns from Flip. On this day, we're celebrating Bill Aucoin, the man whom without I would have never been anything more, maybe I am nothing more, but than a rhythm guitar player. He came to work with my group Funhouse in 1985, and he pulled me aside after the first performance and said, Bryn, you should be the front man. So when Flip got signed, and I was the front man, I turned directly to Bill. He was the man who saw it first. We miss you, Bill. Think about you every day. Love you.
This is Jim Neff in Cadillac, Michigan. A true test of greatness is creating something that stands the test of time. Bill Aucoin accomplished that in 1975 when he brought Kiss to Cadillac. Since then, fans have come from all over the world to experience the spirit Bill created. They tell me that Cadillac is one of the few places on earth where you can actually feel rock and roll. Because of this, Bill Aucoin is a true rock and roll legend in history.
It's really hard to believe that it's been 10 years since the passing of the great Bill Aucoin, a legacy that is unmatched, a man that changed the game of music forever, obviously guiding the careers of Kiss. But let's not forget Billy Idol, or Billy Squier with Piper, or Stars, and so many more. And as a fan, thank you. And once again, your legacy will continue for many, many years to come.
Hello, my name is Chuck McKinley. I'm a longtime friend of Bill Aucoin's, proud to say. Met him in 1964 when I was a freshman at Northeastern University. I, along with a bunch of other guys in the dorm, decided to go pledge a fraternity one night. And a couple of us were accepted, and lo and behold, I end up being the luckiest pledge of all time. I end up with Bill Aucoin for my big brother. What an experience.
Hi, my name is Bill Burrell, and I was Bill Aucoin's college roommate and fraternity brother at Northeastern University. We roomed together for 4 years, and we became such great friends. His zest for adventure left a lasting mark on my personality. I enjoyed being with Bill. He taught me how to live and have fun living.
Bill was our vice president in charge of our social department. He arranged all the parties. He arranged all the entertainers. He bought all the booze, all the special events, homecoming, Mother's Day, Christmas, New Year's, all the big events. And Bill and I traveled together all that time, arranging all this, and what an experience.
We were seniors at the time, and I drove back to Northeastern University in the fraternity house during my senior year, and my parents had just purchased me a brand new 1965 Pontiac Le Mans convertible. When I got back to the house, Bill was there, Bill Aucoin, and he says, "Holy shit, where'd you get that?" And I explained the story. He said, "Well, can I have a ride?" I said, "Sure, where are we going?" He proceeded to direct me to drive him to a Tamian Ford on Commonwealth Ave in Boston, whereas he went inside, bought a 1965 yellow Mustang convertible on the spot, and drove it out of the showroom.
And then on weekdays, Bill had another job. He was managing performers that were performing all through the Boston area at all the clubs. So I got to ride with him. And then I also mentioned he had a 1964 Mustang convertible.
We drove home on the Arbor Way back to Jamaica Plain, side by side, tops down, radios blaring on the same station, and drove back to the fraternity house.
What fun. Got into all these bars. I'm 18, 19 years old, and I'm walking into all these bars with Bill Aucoin. He knows everybody. He introduces me to all these cool people. I mean, it was just such a good time.
He and I attended a Boston Patriots football game in December of 1964. After the game, Bill convinced me to remove the Boston Patriots championship flag from the flagpole. We did, brought it back to the fraternity house, hung it up, and had pictures taken.
After college, we kind of went separate ways. Bill went into his entertainment industry. I went into jacket and tie kind of work.
He went on to Julia Child's show to do his internship. And he stayed there the whole year, and they did ask him to stay, but he wanted to go to New York.
But we always stayed close. Bill was family. Bill's been to my weddings. Bill is the godfather of my daughter, Kristen. Bill and I just always kept in contact. We'd go years without seeing each other. But when we did see each other, it was like no time had passed at all. I miss Bill. Bill, like I say, Bill was family. I love that guy. Sure do miss him.
Bill was a character, loved him dearly, and was sorely missed.
Hi everybody, it's David Olson from Megadeth, and thank you so much for including me here. And I just want to give a big shout out to Bill Aucoin, to his legacy, to his family. So much of what you see behind me, the awards I've been given in my life, are a direct result of the influence that I got from the bands and the artists that Bill Aucoin managed, in particular Kiss, even Stars, and of course Billy Idol. So much of what I learned how to do in this industry, I learned from learning from the bands that Bill managed. And so much the merchandising, the live show, just so much of it is just absolutely fantastic. So thank you to Bill, and a great way to commemorate his life and his life's work. Thank you so much.
My good friend, Bill Aucoin, who I never called Bill, I called him Guy. Guy, short for Guillaume. Never called him Bill once. He managed my band Stars, as you all probably know. Was a great, great friend, great guy, life of the party, always a smile on his face, always lifted everyone up by being around him. You know, you were always lifted up. And I'm glad we had disconnected for a period of time, but I'm so glad that we basically stayed friends for all those years. And I miss him. He's a good guy.
Hi, everybody. It's Eddie Trunk, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognize Bill Aucoin on the 10-year anniversary of his passing. Growing up as a rock fan, still being a rock fan, I knew of Bill, and later on in my career, I got to meet Bill a couple of times, which was such a big thrill. So many of the bands that I loved and still do love, Bill had a huge part in. Kiss, of course, Piper, New England, Stars, all of those bands I was such a big fan of, and I would see Bill's name or logo on the back of those records, and I always knew it was going to be something that I liked. Bill Aucoin, just a larger-than-life presence, groundbreaking presence in the music industry. May he rest in peace.
Hi, it's Gary Shea from New England. Hello to all the Aucoin family out there. I guess one of the things I remember most about Bill is the fact that he was cool as a cucumber. He never seemed to crack under pressure. When he came to Boston to see us play live, between our first and second song that we were playing for him, my amp blew up and decided to shoot out a bolt of fire. Of course, Bill probably thought that was funny and didn't freak out. Everybody else was flipping out. We turned off the amplifier, we spoke for a while. We wound up finishing those songs and everything went great, and Bill signed us up, and the rest is all history.
Hi, Fernando Perdomo here from the band Dreaming in Stereo, which Bill managed pretty much up until he passed away. We were one of the last bands that Bill signed back in 2010, and Bill was incredible. I knew all about him. I had known Roman for a long time, and Bill was our guiding light, and he loved us, and I'll never forget all the guidance he gave us all the way up until the end. And I miss him every day. And I miss him even more because I still work with Roman. And we are all so lucky to have someone like Bill in our lives guiding us and helping us out. And I'll never forget that laugh, and I'll never forget that smile on his face. And let's just all think about it. And anytime that we are feeling sad, just close your eyes and think about that laugh and think about that smile, and you'll be there with us. I love you, Bill, and I miss you.
I'm here at Le Tub. If you don't know Le Tub, it's a burger joint in Hollywood, Florida, along the Intercoastal Waterway. And this is where Bill and I spent a lot of our time when we weren't at home. Bill would get a sea breeze, I would get a margarita. Oftentimes we'd invite friends, family, industry people, artists. We'd hang until the wee hours sometimes and cause a lot of trouble. This is also where Bill's ashes were scattered. Actually, this boat is sitting right on top of Bill's ashes right now. Our dear friend Suzanne donated a plaque for Bill. This restaurant was kind enough to install it between Water 1 and Water 2, which are these two tables where we'd usually sit. The plaque, which is actually right here, has survived a couple of restaurant renovations and even a hurricane, when this entire section was picked up off the ground by the wind and dumped into the Intercoastal Waterway. It's been 10 years, which is really, really crazy. And we're commemorating Bill's 10th anniversary in the middle of a global shutdown, which is actually very much like Bill. He was a disruptor. I mean, when Bill was 14 years old, he built his own radio station in his parents' basement in 1957. That's pretty disruptive.
With his next door neighbor, they built a radio station. And this was when he was in, I think, 7th or 8th grade.
And had the FCC come knocking at his door, wanting to cut the antenna down.
One day, my mother got a knock on the door, and there were these two men in black suits asking for Bill. And my mother said, "Do you want Big Bill or Little Bill?" And they said, "I want the person who put that antenna up and is running a radio from here." And she says, "Well, that's my son. He's in school."
I think it came from my father. I really do. I think that that curiosity, that something inside of him that maybe it was being the only boy in a family of girls and a family of aunts. He didn't have any uncles. I mean, they were all, maybe it was that desire to prove that he could do it. I think he was born with that ability to fix things.
So my mother told them how to get to the school and where my father was. So they went down and got my father, and they picked Bill up from school, and they came home and they told my father that he better cut that in tenor, because if they keep broadcasting, there's something like a $10,000 fine and 10 years in jail. So my father went out and took clippers. I mean, this was, I don't know, about 50 feet high or something. I mean, I don't even know how they got it up.
If that doesn't say disruption, I don't know what does.
It's not even close. Bill Aucoin stands atop the greatest pantheon of rock and roll managers of all time, with Brian Epstein, who managed the Beatles, Peter Grant, who managed Led Zeppelin. Bill was a visionary. Bill was the fifth member of KISS. Bill thought outside of the box, and without Bill, KISS would probably be working in New York City, driving cabs, working in restaurants, liquor stores. So I tip my cap to Bill for being such an innovative and inventive manager and such an incredible person. God bless you, Bill.
My name is Ronald Luxembourg, and I am fortunate to say that I was a very good friend of Bill Aucoin. God rest his soul. It's hard to believe that it's 10 years ago that I read a eulogy for him in New York at the Hard Rock Cafe, appropriate for Bill because he was hard rock. I mean, the man that put KISS on the map and Billy Idol on the map, and I miss him as a friend. Yeah, a good business associate. He managed a band for me when we had Infinity Records. He was flawless in his approach, never told me any stories. Always, when I said to me, Bill, it's 100 degrees, why are you wearing a jacket? And he would say, I always wear a jacket. And he was a lot of fun. A lot of people were jealous of him because he was immaculate in his attire, and he was honest to the point where it could cost him some relationships. And I'm sorry that I didn't have more artists with him as a manager. But he's gone. The music business misses him. His friends miss him. I miss him. So I know he's continuing to watch this crazy industry go through all its changes. But if he were here today, I'm sure he'd be managing a very big act. And KISS continues, Billy Idol continues, all for what he started. God bless you, Bill. I will always remember you.
Hey there, this is Carl Almaje-Caro from Nothing Rhymes with Orange, and this is for my dearest friend Bill the Butcher, Billy the Kid.
Bill was a manager of the band for a number of years. In that time, we became, good friends.
Bill, your authentic spirit, your courageousness, your willingness to support love with love and with grace. And you were a classic outlaw of our time, a rebel always yelling, and I love that.
He was a visionary in the industry, helped break a lot of amazing bands.
But mostly it was your willingness to invest into me as a person and to help catapult me to the best artist I possibly could be. So with that, I'm forever grateful.
Not a day goes by that we don't think of him and miss him. 10 years moves quick. I miss you, Bill. Peace and love.
Peace, love, and happiness always, and God bless. Love you. Stay gold, Bill.
Jeff Cooper from 2XS Rocks in England only met Bill once, and I didn't even know who he was at the time. Roman brought him along with a band we were recording in Leeds some years ago. I later found out how important he'd been to the world of rock, but he never said a word when I knew him. He was such a modest, nice guy. Get Bill in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
Hey everyone, it's Mitch LaFon from Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon, and I'm here to talk about Bill Aucoin. Of course, Bill gave us KISS based on his determination and his willingness to see it through. And if it hadn't been for Bill, I would have lost out. And many, many fans across America, Canada, the rest of the world would have lost out on an important part of their lives, which was Kiss. But that was not enough for Bill. In the 80s, he got on with Billy Idol, and of course, going through high school at that time, Rebel Yell, White Wedding, seminal. Couldn't have gotten through that period of time without those songs, those great memories. So to Bill, thank you. A deep thank you. Absolutely, I needed you in my life. And you gave me two bands that I could not live without. So Bill Aucoin, this is to you. Thank you.
Bill, or Guillaume Aucoin, as he liked to be called when I met him, will always be for me one of the most charming, bright, creative, loving, enthusiastic, and generous people you would ever meet. We met by chance in a recording studio one hot August day in 1972 when I applied to be his unpaid intern on the videotaping of Old Calcutta, the first time a full-length movie was done on videotape. A work partnership and a true friendship developed from there.
When I think of Bill, I think of the first time I met him, and we were going down to see a concert with a group called Kiss. And I remember him saying to me, "I'm going to manage this band." And he had that twinkle in his eye. And from then on, it was a roller coaster ride.
Nothing excited him more than collaborating on a project or idea with partners and friends, and I can still see his face light up and his over-the-top whole-body response to a great new idea. We had some wonderful and exciting times together. And I thought of him as a brother, because of his generosity and willingness to teach me, appreciate my contributions, trust me, and take me on as an equal partner. He changed my life for the better in ways that I could never thank him enough for. He is forever in my memory and in my heart. Love you, Bill.
And every time I think of Bill, I smile as I think of that first night and what had happened after that was magic. Love you, Bill. You're always on my mind.
Bill Aucoin was not only my manager, he was a great friend. And the thing I love most about Bill is he was a risk taker.
Yeah, so Bill was our manager for a few years, and well, quite a few actually. I think, well, more than a few.
We used to call him number 5, Bill Aucoin. Back when we were in Gun Hill. Bill and I hear about all this great relationships, and him and I didn't have the best relationship. We kind of bumped heads, got me kicked out or tried to kick me out of bed so many times I can't even remember.
I'm a big Kiss fan, so, you know, of course, having Bill as our manager, that was awesome. That was like, you know, that was a big fucking deal for us. And
he's that type of person, when he walked into a room, he commanded respect. And he earned it.
Walk into a room, size up everyone in the room, determine all the relationships between everyone in the room, and figure out what everyone was about in a matter of minutes. And he would give you a synopsis, and it would be spot on.
Bill set the bar so high for all the managers of the music industry around the world. He succeeded where no one else could.
You knew that he would come up with something you never even thought about. And that's very valuable. It was a lot of fun. I mean, we used to, every time we knew Bill was coming, we knew it was going to be like a party. We would hang out, play music, and it was always good times.
For example, on Ozfest, I think like most of the nights after our set, like actually way after our set, when I was already out of my makeup and out of my gear, we were sitting somewhere behind the trucks. We could hear Ozzy playing in the background, and we were just talking, you know, bullshit and smoking these big ass cigars together.
I cherish those times. I really do. Gun Hill, and in my life, I learned so much. Those are lessons that go past my musical career.
Bill, it was phenomenal to work with you. I appreciate every hour and every second and every moment I had with you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Tom Feely. He gambled a tour on his charge card, and he created a dynasty. Bill was a mentor, and more so a friend. Bill was always there for me when I was managing a national act. Whether I had problems with contracts, touring, he was always there to hand me advice. I felt I was mentored by the best. He was a major influence on the music industry. From television, where he directed and produced Flipside, where national artists went into the studio and showed you how they created their craft.
Very superstitious, writing on the wall.
You know, when Don Kirshner's rock concert and the old Grey Whistle Test was putting on live concerts on TV, great bands. You know, he went against conventional wisdom and actually turned the cameras backwards into the studio for artists to record with producers and engineers that they felt comfortable with. Again, just something that wasn't really heard of at the time. And that was Bill in a nutshell. He wasn't bound by conventional wisdom, and he wasn't afraid to do what everybody told him was absolutely insane.
Hi, Bob Gruen here, saying I miss Bill Aucoin a lot. I first met him when he was doing the Flipside TV show, actually filming John Lennon, and then it was natural to work together with Kiss. Went to Japan with him a couple of times. He was a great guy to be with and a lot of fun. Always had creative, great ideas. So, Bill, I miss you. I wish you were here, and I hope you get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Great to see everybody here. I'm sure Bill would be really happy. This is the kind of thing he dug. He hated people depressed and uptight and not happy. He had to be the happiest guy I ever met in my life. When I met him, I didn't think he was a great manager, to be really honest with you, because I was a little older than the other guys, and I'd seen so many managers in my life that were full of shit that I thought, here comes another one. But he proved me wrong. You know, we got to know each other, and I said, I have a dream, and my dream was to play Madison Square Garden with my mom and dad, and my wife at the time. And he made it happen. We were in the garden that night. He came, we hugged, and he said, well, I guess our dreams are fulfilled. He had the same damn dream I had, and that's kind of how Bill was. He was never down. He called me recently, and I saved the message. It was about 7 months ago. It seems like it was yesterday. To congratulate me that I beat cancer, breast cancer I had, and my wife had cancer at the same time. I don't know what the odds of that are, two people getting cancer at the same time, but we are cancer-free today, at least for today anyway. And so, but the way, you know, he had a way of, you know what, he's right, he has a way of making you feel young and strong and positive, and everything he would say on the phone to me made me feel like I was 20 years old again. And I saved the message, and I'm going to take it off that stupid disc and make a disc of it and keep it, because you'll never see anyone like him again on this planet. There was very few guys like Bill. He was one of a kind. There was people like Neil Bogart and Sean Delaney and a lot of other people that helped Kiss make it to today. And today I would not have the great life I had. I would not be famous if not for Bill. He was the fifth Kiss, and I will miss him dearly. Thank you.
Guy was the perfect manager for Kiss. He had a certain level of class and elegance. He was always dressed in a suit. He was well-spoken. He was very articulate and very sharp. And he was sort of a cold killer in contrast to the band's hot, passionate, crazy image. So that between them both, they were a really formidable force. I actually really enjoyed doing business with Guy. I thought he was a sensible guy and very knowledgeable, and he was a good partner all the way up until the end of Destroyer, where he decided that I hadn't done a very good job, and decided to go and hire my protege, Jack Douglas, to do the next record. But that's another story.
Bill Aucoin was a creative whirlwind of energy. His visions were large, and he thrived on achieving them. He loved people, a party, and life, but also had a great appreciation for art, good design, and the beauty of things. Kiss was more than a rock and roll band to Bill. They were all things personified in entertainment: the music, the show, the unique characters, the costumes, the mystery, and the magic. He brought his distinctive skills from the film and television world and incorporated them into music and rock and roll. That combination, with what Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley had created, was a recipe for success. Bill was just the right person to excite and inspire the artists he managed and the people that worked with him. Everyone loved him. I remember how difficult it was keeping up with all the ideas, people, and tasks. See, he was not just a band manager, but a creative artist himself, one of vision and production. I will always remember the opportunities Bill Aucoin provided his artists and me. Thank you, Bill.
I loved Kiss. I loved everything that came with it. I was the youngest of 7. We got all sorts of toys and treats, stickers, comic books. Kiss was not real to me. Kiss was a comic book, and it was amazing, and my uncle was in charge of all of that. I was the coolest kid in high school. I wanted to be Bill. I wanted to be with Bill every second of his life, and as a musician, I littered Bill with demos, and yes, he was very honest with me. And I thought some of that shit was pretty good, but he thought so too. But it was always my decision. Hey, it's your decision. Well, come on, Bill, help me out. But you know what? He always believed. He always believed in me, and that's just the beauty of Bill. And a coin globe is that's just the way Bill is. Bill, he thinks globally. He acts globally. Nothing he thinks won't be global. And most important, he loves globally. I swear, when you shake his hand, you could be anybody. Like someone said earlier, and you just feel the love through that handshake. It's powerful. I'm sure God is intimidated right now. And but a short story. My last contact with Bill was quite humorous. He texted me. He never texted me. But he texted me. He says, "I'm coming through. I'm going to LA. Can I stop by and see you?" And I said, "Sure. I'll text back." Thought this was the new thing he discovered, texting. So I texted back and I said, "Sure, come on through." And we text back and forth, and finally I was like, "Okay, I'm just going to call him." So, "Bill, tell me your schedule, because I want to see you. I want to know when you're coming through." And he was so confused. And he said, and finally, it snapped to it. He goes, "Oh, I thought you were Paul Stanley." So for 3 days, I was Paul Stanley. And, I want to shake Paul's hand someday. And but that was my last contact with Bill, unfortunately. And I didn't get to see him. He flew over Texas, right to LA. And but cheers, Bill. Man, I love you so much. Thank you.
As a young kid with rock and roll dreams, when I started Trickster, I always said to myself, someday Bill Aucoin is going to manage my band. If he can manage Kiss, he can manage me. Well, that never happened, but in the 1990s, I got to meet Bill and become friends with him, and his advice, his insights, and his great stories that he told me are things that I'll never, ever forget. And I thank you, Bill, for always being so great to me. 10-year anniversary on your passing. Well, the way I see it is you're up at rock and roll heaven managing Freddie Mercury, Randy Rhoads, John Entwistle, and John Bonham in rock and roll heaven's favorite supergroup. So just wanted to let you know, always think about you, and I hope you're doing well. God bless you, Bill. You're a rock and roll legend, for sure.
I had the good fortune of working with Bill for about a decade during the height of success of Aucoin management, where we worked with Kiss stars Toby Bow, New England, Piper, among many other artists. Bill was my mentor and my friend, and I truly miss him. I often think back on those years and think, wow, that really happened. I miss you, Bill.
Hi, Bill. This is Paul De Silva of Toby Bow. You know that already. Bill, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for my chance at the brass ring. Your insights and your genius in rock management helped this small town boy take his rock and roll dreams since I was reading Guitar Player when I was a child to launching all the way to the moon with a hit single. Bill, you will always be my angel baby. I miss you so much, and I'll see you on the other side.
Hi, I'm Cher Bach. I made a dear friend in the late 1970s at Aucoin Management. His name was Bill Aucoin. I had a blast. It was a fantastic time, and I miss him. I miss his insight, his humor, and I'm sure that he's watching over all of us, and he's quite pleased with the way he's being honored. Not enough time to tell any stories, so I'll just send my love.
It's 1978, and Desmond Child in Rouge was playing all over New York City. That's when Paul Stanley of Kiss came to see us and asked me to write a song with him. That song was I Was Made for Loving You. And that's the door that got me into the world of Bill Aucoin. Bill was a giant, a legend. He was bigger than life. And when I got to know him, I realized his heart was bigger than life. He was the most wonderful man, and I love him to this day, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities that he brought to my life. Thank you, Bill Aucoin. You'll always be bigger than life and with the biggest heart.
I'm happy to be here, but I'm really sad because, I was very close to Bill, not so much towards the, let me get rid of this gum, not towards the end of his life, but, obviously most of my career, I think Bill was responsible for Kiss taking off the way we did. He had a lot of insight, he gave great direction, and it's unfortunate that down the road we parted company. I wasn't really happy about that whole situation, but things happen. Rather than talking about all the time I've known Bill, let's talk about the last time I saw Bill, which was in 2008. He came to see me perform at the House of Blues on the Sunset Strip in California. And it was so good to see him, and he was so full of life like he always is, and everybody who knows Bill, he's the kind of guy, he's always bubbly, he's always up, he's always smiling, and if you are down, he's going to bring you up. And he came back after the show, we hung out for a while, and it was just great seeing him. And I had no idea he was even sick, and no one told me, so, it was a big shock to me. But I'm really happy I could be here. Bill was the kind of guy, he was always impeccably dressed. And the one thing that always stuck in my mind was, before we really hit it big, Bill would always be walking around in suits, and, really expensive suits and shoes, before I even knew how to dress. And I learned a lot from Bill, because we used to raid his closet back at his apartment. In fact, that's what we did for the cover of Dress to Kill. But I'll never forget, it was before our big hit album Alive, and we were still struggling financially. And he came down to rehearsal, and we're having a problem with the levitating drum kit. And we had just spent a lot of money on it. And I'm kind of mechanically inclined, and I was ready to get down there and start, rolling up my sleeves and, digging into why this thing isn't working properly. And Bill took off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves and grabbed a wrench and said, "Let me get in on this." And it was so out of character for Bill, but it's something that's stuck in my mind, ever since that happened. He was also the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off his back. And I remember coming to him on many occasions depressed about this, or, I'm having a fight with one of my girlfriends. He was always there. He was that kind of guy. We had some great times together, some great parties, which I don't need to elaborate on, but you'll probably read about it in my book, because I just signed a deal with Simon & Schuster. Anyway, I'm just so happy I can be here for Bill, and I see there's a lot of people here that there's a lot of love in everybody's eyes, because Bill was the kind of guy that, once you met him, you never forgot him. He was just a great human being, and always fun to be around. And I'm sure he's going to be missed greatly. And thanks everybody for coming. I'm glad I can be here. Thank you.
How lucky was I to know Bill Aucoin? I worked with him at Splash Records in the late 90s and was able to witness up close his true genius. He could spot talent in a matter of seconds. Besides his visionary and utopian dreams in the music industry, he was much finer a man. He always wanted me to know how special I was by demanding that he would interview my dates. Boy, do I have some stories there. He was a mentor and a father figure, and he could, without exception, put a smile on my face with the simple start of a phone call of, "Hello, darling." I'll cherish those memories forever. Cheers, Bill.
Hey, Billy, I miss you. I can't help but get giddy and silly when I think of you and when I talk to you and when I make videos about you, because you were such a sweet, sweet man. Not to mention insanely talented. You definitely found your destiny in life. Not dynasty, destiny. I love you and miss you. Thank you for all the beautiful things you've brought into my life, like Kiss and Kiss Stories, and you being the one who created the Kiss Stories. Wherever you are right now, give me a sign you can hear me.
I'm Linda Yellen, and I'm a filmmaker. And Bill was part of my world, too. He introduced me to Chrysalis Records and the Robert Stigwood organization, where we shared many, many happy years in partnership, making films and TV for them.
When I think about Bill, I remember him as being bold and fearless and visionary. He had creative talent, and his management skills were extraordinary. He believed in something and just went for it in a brave, almost reckless way, but he definitely floated to the top.
When I think of Bill, I met him in 1980. I think of someone handsome, dapper, charming, a closet full of tuxedos, one for every occasion, a limo that prowled New York City with the license plate Gee, and the biggest heart of any of my friends.
I was very blessed to have him in my life, as long as I did, both in the early part and 30 years later when he helped me most recently, right before he died. And I was just very blessed to have him. He also had perfect table manners, which is kind of rare, and his grammar was good. Excellent. So he was a one-of-a-kind guy.
Bill was my confidant, my buddy. I was so happy when he finally found true love with Roman. And I must say, I think about him all the time.
I can't believe it's been 10 years, and I miss him. I miss Bill. I'll always remember him.
Here's to you, Bill. Love you.
Hi, Chris Caffrey from Sabotage and Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It was 40 years ago when I saw my first concert. It was Kiss at Nassau Coliseum. I was just a little kid that saw this rock and roll dream come alive through this band and this magic that was created by the guys in the band and this gentleman we knew as Bill Aucoin. I can't believe it's been 10 years since he's been taken from us, but that magic still lives in all of us. And every time I reach that stage on Nassau Coliseum with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I always remember that magical night, and I always will. And thank you in the heavens, Mr. Aucoin, for everything that you've continued to do to all of us through our lives.
Bill Aucoin, I remember when he was the hottest and I was the coldest, he was always a nice fella, encouraged me, and didn't make me feel like a little nothing, although I felt that way myself. You know, they say the managers of great characters are often great characters themselves, and so it was true with Bill. He was always character. He made us all laugh. And I remember how he doggedly put up with all the hurdles that were thrown his way when he championed an act like Kiss, which was hard to understand. I know, I found it hard to understand. And he worked side by side with the greats, and they achieved greatness that most people never thought was possible. Plucked Billy Idol out of Generation X, which was quite something. And he had a roster of amazing talent, some of which didn't achieve the greatness it should have, but not through the fault of Bill. Anyway, it's hard to believe it's 10 years. I know I'll miss him. And I know that the world would be a better place if he was here. Anyway, love you, Bill, and thank you all for letting me be part of this.
Hi, it's Big John Hart here. We're approaching the 10th anniversary of Bill Aucoin's passing. I just wanted to remind everyone that, even though Bill's not with us any longer, he's sorely missed, but always remembered.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeremy White from the Beat 92.5 here in Montreal, remembering Bill Aucoin 10 years on. And if there was ever a man that had an impact on the music biz and live entertainment in general, it's Bill, right? I mean, the shirt says it all. The man innovated in merch, the live show production, bringing Kiss to life, and then later on with Billy Idol. And just the music biz would not have been the same had it not been for the man, the legend, Bill Aucoin. And as we listen and we remember him 10 years on, we just got to say thank you for everything that he did to bring joy to all of our lives. And remembering Bill.
I got into the music business in large part due to Bill Aucoin. Usually people are fans of musicians. I was a fan of industry executives, and Bill was at the top of the list. His fingerprints are on marketing plans for artists. You can't rely on radio. Bill knew that press and touring would get you in front of a fan base. The methods that he innovated remain part of what have become cookie-cutter marketing plans even today, decades later. Bill liked his cigars, but he also wanted to be fresh for meetings, so he had me keep this bottle of Febreze in the trunk of my car. And when we would get to a meeting, he would stretch out his arms and he'd turn very slowly and have me spray him down with this. I did the best I could, but it didn't really work that well. Bill, I miss talking to you every day, and I was lucky to know you.
First of all, I just cannot believe it's already been 10 years since Bill has passed. When I was a kid, I always looked up to Bill, and I just couldn't wait to meet him someday, and I eventually did. It was a lot of hard work, and I finally did. And the cool thing about Bill, for me, is that he didn't let me down. Sometimes people you want to meet in life, they let you down. Bill never let me down. He was exactly the kind of person I thought he was. He listened. I had ideas. We talked about things. We seemed to see eye to eye on a lot of things. And we ended up working on a couple of projects together and rock band, some bands that he was interested in, and just a great experience. And what I love about Bill is that he just listened and he actually cared about people, you know? How much more can you say about a person than that? That's just, that's so valuable. What a great guy. I really miss Bill tremendously.
Hey, this is John 5, and Bill, we love you, we miss you, and thank you so much for what you did for the music industry and what you created. Long live Bill Aucoin.
Hi, my name's Graham Marshall. I was lucky enough to work with Bill back in 2009 until his sad passing in 2010. Bill will be remembered for lots of reasons, but I'll remember his passion. It really was infectious. Bill made you feel like anything was possible, though with Bill, it really was. Although it's been 10 years since we lost Bill, his legacy and influence lives on. God bless you, Bill, and forever rest in peace.
Hi, this is Nicky Revolver in commemoration of the one and only Bill Aucoin. Bill managed me for about 7 years, and man, what a character. I mean, what I'll miss the most of him is, well, first is his daily phone calls, which are always cheering me on, and the other thing would be his constant narration of no matter what it was you were doing, having dinner, watching a movie, you always had that, yeah, all right? Yeah, okay. What a character. Anyway, miss you, Bill.
Hi, I'm Walt Bankowski, and Bill was my uncle. I met Bill probably when I was 3 or 4 years old, and our family traveled to Ayr, where he grew up, for Christmas. And my brother and I always tried to get to the trains that he set up and the tree that he decorated. And from that point on, Christmases and Thanksgivings became special holidays whenever he visited. Bill was always the center of attention in any situation, whether it was cooking a meal, leaving a mess behind, running out to get a ceiling fan when Dad thought we needed a ceiling fan for our house and installing it, playing golf when he hadn't played in many years, or running out to a record store in Virginia Beach when he was the manager of KISS just to buy an album. Bill loved his nieces and nephews very much, and he always took an interest in our interest.
Bill, Uncle Bill, was such an incredible man. He had this great zest for life and the ability to bring you in no matter what it was. He would take something small and make it very memorable, or of course something very big and make it even more exciting.
When my parents celebrated their 50th anniversary, he gave them a party that, oh my goodness, I mean, you couldn't duplicate. I mean, a full orchestra and, you know, ice sculptures and...
And it was a different life for my mom and dad. I mean, when he put them up in the plaza, it was unbelievable. He had put flowers all over the place. I mean, there was more flowers than that. He had a suite for them. And, you know, like there was telephones all over. My father walked in the bathroom, I'll never forget, and he'll say, oh my goodness, look at this, a telephone in the bathroom, one in the shower.
It was held at the Nashville Country Club, and I mean, it was the most fantastic thing you've ever seen. I mean, as far as the ice sculptures and the entertainment that they brought in, and just the speech that Bill gave. I mean, it was a time in my life where I really realized that Bill really had something, you know, and it was very special to Bill. I mean, you know, it was his parents' 50th anniversary, and Bill made it really come true.
He really knew how to capture the nuances in life and make them something that we could all cling to and take with us each day, which is why there are so many great memories about him.
One of my favorite stories of Bill was when he had a set of golf clubs for me when I was first learning. Found out they were broken, he decided to buy me a brand new set. And knowing my passion for baseball, he gave me something very special many years ago that I treasure and will always think of him when I look at it.
So some of my favorite things, vodka sauce, Bloody Mary, going for a walk around the pond. In the evening, he'd be smoking a cigar, telling stories on his cell phone always. So treasured moments, and just so happy to be part of that circle. Thanks, Bill.
One weekend afternoon in 1973,
Two rock musicians came to our house to ask my husband, Paul, to represent them as his attorney. They said, "Mr. Marshall, we'd really like you to represent us. You know we're not great musicians, but we put on a really good show." That was an understatement. Bill Aucoin first brought KISS to Paul to represent as his attorney when they were an unknown new group. The rest became history, of course. Now, Paul has written a book that's sitting in my computer unpublished, but one of the chapters is about KISS, and I have one quote from it that I particularly liked. He said, "One of the matters that I most enjoyed handling was the creating and ultimate worldwide success of KISS." Bill also left one other legacy to me. After many years, we met again when we moved to South Florida, and also met Roman. Sadly, Paul and Roman are no... Roman, you better edit this part.
Hey, Chris Keaton here with a little tribute to Bill Aucoin. I think about him every day, and his memory inspires me each and every day. Thank you, Bill.
Sadly, Roman and Paul are no longer with us. But one of the legacies...
Many of the most memorable moments of my life were spent with Bill Aucoin or thanks to him. And for that, I will always be grateful.
Sadly, Bill...
God bless Bill, his family, and all those that loved him.
Sadly,
people like Neil Bogart, Sean Delaney, and yes, Bill Aucoin. Bill Aucoin needs to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we love him and we thank him. He was always good to us. Love you, Bill.
Cut. One of Bill's greatest gifts to me was introducing me to Roman, who has become my extended family. Bill and Paul are no longer with us, but my friendship with Roman, I hope, will endure for a long time. But Bill, here's to you, who started it all.
Hi, everyone. Mark Weiss here. In 1983, Bill had me come to his office in Olympic Towers to show my portfolio to him. He wanted me to photograph Billy Idol's tattoo for his new stationery. I got the job, and on the elevator on the way down, I met Suzanne, my future wife, mother of my 2 children, and my grandson, Jackson Mark Weiss, now 4 years old. So I owe him my family and the support he gave me with my photography career. Miss him.
Phil Fife from the Billy Idol Band here to talk to you a little bit about Bill Aucoin, who represented Billy and myself during the 80s. Bill was a visionary. He was an artist. He was more than just a manager. He was one of the best entrepreneurs in the music industry, and he had his own vision, and he had his own character, and he appreciated the musicians. So, Bill, big kudos to you, and we miss you, I miss you, and we love you all and who've worked with you.
Bill Aucoin, the real, original rock and roll manager impresario. Your flair for show business was the best. When you enlisted me and entrusted me to take Billy Idol through the crowd at the beginning of his career with all his leather, and you said, walk through the audience. Don't go to the backstage. Don't go in the front. You go through the audience and let everybody see Billy. The next day, nobody talked about the band that was playing. They talked about Billy. The time we did the in-store at Tower Records at 4th and Broadway, when you had WLIR and WNEW, you said, let them announce it again. The crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger. You knew what you were doing. The police couldn't handle the people. Next thing you know is the fans are crashing through the window. Another rock and roll moment. We're in Canada with the #1 record in the country. Dinner to celebrate at the Windsor Arms Courtyard Cafe. We've got the Chrysalis team, the MCA people. CFNY, which was the big alternative station. And what does Bill Aucoin say? Let's do a surprise show for the fans tonight. CFNY, go on the air and tell people we're going to play a show at midnight at the Diamond Club. Diamond Club manager says, let's do it. There's a line around the block when we get there, and it's a show that people still talk about to this day. The Kiss Army, the Billy Idol fan club. Whether you did it from the Galleria on 57th Street or 645 Madison or the Olympic Tower, Bill, you knew how to put together a fan club. You created the Army. You created how fans communicate with their artists. And I thank you for teaching me all that. Rest in peace, Bill Aucoin.
If you didn't know Bill outside the shadow of Kiss or Billy Idol or any of his other acts, what there really is to know, what really matters about Bill is he was just a sweet, sweet soul. Kind, generous, someone who loved people.
And Bill could always talk to somebody and understand, where they're coming from.
I always found that to be really impressive. And he could do that because of his love and understanding of people. He was a real lover and understander of people.
I always had a smile on my face when I got off the phone with Bill. I mean, I could tell that he really dearly loved these guys he was managing. He always had an optimistic view of what they could do.
He was a kind, warm, big-hearted, funny guy.
If you knew the man, you would know that he had the kindest and biggest heart of anyone you had ever met. And at the same time, his shoot-to-the-sky attitude was infectious of anyone who was in contact with him.
He revered artists, and he saw great stardom in people like Michael Lee Smith and Billy Squier, and obviously he did a great job for Kiss. So
I just want to say, here's to Bill. We love you, and we'll see you someplace between where the clouds meet the fire.
So to Bill, to his life and his legacy, Nastrovia.
Bill, 10 years later, we remember you, we still love you as if you were with us. And you know what? And you truly are still with us. Cheers.
God, we miss him. We love him. I love him. And, the world could really use Bill Aucoin right about now. Cheers.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upward.
Rock on, Bill. Miss you. Bye.
No, I won't go. Please don't you take my home. I'm far all alone, and please don't you take my home. Home is wherever you are. Home can be out in the stars. Home can be Venus or Mars. Home can be broken or safe. And even if I lose my home, it will be standing tall. 'Cause every time I close my eyes, home will be safe in my mind. Home, home.
A warming breeze sent to kiss your face. So just close those eyes and know you're not alone. Sooner or later, I hope you understand. I hope you realize it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. You feel this wall too high to climb. You feel this hole too deep to fill. So allay those fears dry those tears. Gotta start the healing with an angel's hand. Sooner or later, I hope you understand.